Y'all planning for this?
Welcome back, TPR Nation. This is Jamie Schleinsky, an episode of Worlds to Conquer, and let's talk all things new client onboarding. I love the new client onboarding experience. There's no greater exhilaration as a financial advisor than when you're sitting down with the prospect, you're really jiving, going back and forth, sharing complex strategies, ideas, and making a powerful difference in somebody's life. And they turn and say to you, how do I continue this relationship? How do I continue working with you? What will it take for me to hire you and have you do this with me full time? I love that. It's so rewarding. There is such a high that is gained by meeting with prospects and being able to onboard them as new clients. But oftentimes what I see financial advisors do too frequently is that they do a lot of buildup and getting the prospects through the door. We call that the top of the funnel. The top of the funnel is the very top of the marketing. How are you generating leads? Are you doing things online? Are you creating content? Are you publishing newspapers? Are you hosting seminars? What is your strategy to bring clients through the door? If it's referrals, fantastic, but don't you dare tell me it's a referral process unless you actually have a referral process in place. How many times have I heard from my financial advisors, my book of business normally grows by referrals, but I'm doing nothing but doing table stakes to cultivate new referrals. Referrals have to be asked for. Now, there's a way to ask for referrals and a way not to ask for referrals. If you are sitting down and asking any one of your friends, associates, neighbors, family members for a list of their friends, associates, family members, so that you can call them and start soliciting sales, stop that immediately. Do not do that. That's not how we ask for referrals. We ask for referrals by suggestive content. We deliver so much value to that client all the time that they can't help but talk about us. And they're going to talk about us at family barbecues. They're going to talk about us over Christmas. They're going to make jokes when they see us in Costco and say, oh no, my financial advisor, I better run away. You want to be constantly top of mind so that they're talking about you in every breath they take. The importance of doing so is because money is emotional. Money matters. There are 3 F's in life. Remember, faith, fitness, finance. Only one of those do you get to outsource, though I wish it could be 2. But one of those you get to outsource. You give that to another human being to help you with finances. And when that happens and you're doing a meaningful job, because money is an intricate part of our everyday life. Every single day we are making money decisions, whether it's what we're going to eat for lunch, whether we're going to stop for a $10 cup of coffee, or if we are going to buy an extravagant gift or book a vacation, or we're going to invest in new technology. We make financial decisions every single day. And therefore, you have an opportunity to be a part of somebody's experiences every single day, but only if you're doing it correctly, only if you're doing it powerfully to create massive impact. So the way that we ask for referrals is suggestively, and the fact that we're involved in all of their finances. In fact, when we onboard a new client, oftentimes you'll hear us say, we want to be your 411 and your 911. If you have a question about money, I want you to ask me first. I might not have the answer, but I could certainly point you in the right direction or make an introduction to somebody else that might. I also want to be your 911. If you're in an emergency situation, do not cut a check unless you have contacted me. There's a lot of aspects I want to discuss with you about money before you make emergency decisions. And that has been really great because it gives the client the baseline of saying, when it comes to money, I need to be involved in your life. I need to be the person that you are asking questions to. So we deliver so much value. We make sure that we're always on the tip of their tongue when it comes to finances. And then we make suggestive comments and we say, we're always looking for clients just like you. I wish we had more clients just like you. And that's allowing them to self-select, that's allowing them to filter. And then on everything that goes out from our office, a piece of correspondence, I jump over to stickermule.com, super cheap way to buy marketing materials, and I'll print down a whole bunch of stickers that say, we love referrals, we love referrals, we love referrals. And on every piece of correspondence going out of my office, that is what it says, we love referrals. So I'm doing a lot of subliminal suggesting in the background that we love to have referrals, but I'm putting my value first. So if you are one of those financial advisors out there that is growing their practice on referrals, make sure you're actually implementing a strategy that suggests clients should send you referrals. All right. Now, when we've got a new client and we're doing that initial onboarding, this is where you can't the bed. You got to get it right. You've got to be able to blow that client away in the next couple of months because you made a lot of promises and delivered a lot of content in that prospect meeting because let's face it, prospect meetings are fun. They're so much fun. They're so engaging to be a part of because you get to get up to bat. You get an opportunity to razzle dazzle somebody with all of the knowledge that you have inside of your head that's bursting to get out and make a meaningful impact in that person's life in areas that they might not have otherwise been educated in. Prospect meetings are amazing. But once you get hired, then what? Once that client says, yes, I want to work with you, and they cut you a check and they're paying you tens of thousands of dollars, what are you doing to deliver massive value? What does your new client onboarding experience look like? What starts in the beginning will last until the end. What starts in the beginning will last until the end. And this is so true of every type of relationship that we have. But in particular, we're going to start talking about what that looks like for the experience of the prospect who is now becoming a client. And the financial services industry has gotten this so wrong, so catastrophically wrong, that I challenge you not to look at necessarily other industry professionals in this area and replicate what they're doing. Because what they're doing is probably lousy. We have done a really bad job of developing an enhanced experience when somebody comes in and meets with us. And that begins with the prospect process. We have a great Shalansky & Associates top of funnel to get the prospect in the door. And we've taken a lot of time to write that down, articulate it, and make sure the whole team knows what is our policy around bringing new people in and what we charge and what information we go and gather from them. And then we have a new client onboarding experience. You know, other industries that get this really well, and I want to shed the light on two different ones that give you a contrast experience, okay? Think of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Think of any bougie hotel that you've ever been at. I hate going to Portland because of all the frickin' homeless and open drug scenes, but they've got a Marriott branch called the Nines, and it's fantastic. From the moment you walk down, you would think you were at the Ritz-Carlton. In fact, when I arrived at this hotel, they did such a phenomenal job of setting the tone and expectations that I stopped and I was like, I wonder how much this room costs. I'm going to have to ask my EA because I'm pretty good about outlining when I travel how much I'm willing to spend on certain areas such as accommodations. Now, I'll spend a little bit more on accommodations because I like the sanctity of returning to something clean and refreshing. So something made me pause because I looked back at the door, knew I was not at a Ritz-Carlton or like hotel. I was at a Marriott branch. It really started triggering all the things that they got right. So what was that experience? When I arrived on the curb was clean. The curb was nice. And in downtown Portland right now, that is a hard feat to accomplish. The flowers were refreshed. There was a bellman that was very large, almost appeared like a security guard, but wasn't a security guard. He was a bellman at the front door station. Opened the door, got my luggage, made sure nothing was unattended, and came inside. Now, I felt safe. I felt secure. I didn't feel like I was in a shady part of the neighborhood, even though I was just a couple blocks from, I think, Chinatown. And because he made me feel this was an elevated experience, but I also subliminally knew I was a little bit more safe than any other one checking into a hotel. And then I take the elevator straight up. He comes right in the door. He pushes the button, says, this is where our elevator is located as soon as you get off. And he's telling me exactly what that experience is. I walk up, they've got the lighting done. They've got the floors clean. The smell, which is so important to areas. The scent is refreshing and clean. And I feel good, especially after a long day of traveling. I feel really good checking in. I don't feel dirty. And then as they're checking me in, I'm asking for a couple of extra nights, and they say, you know what, Mrs. Shalansky, you are a platinum member of the Marriott. I would love to be able to accommodate that for you. We normally book 6 to 9 months out in advance, but if you would just give me and my associates a few hours, I can't guarantee anything, but we will absolutely see what we can do for you. And by the way, we've upgraded you to a corner suite. That way you'll have a view of X, Y, and Z. We've put a couple of refreshments in your room. Is there anything else you're requiring tonight? Could I get you anything further? If you care not to travel out into the city in the evening, we've got a wonderful bistro located just behind me. Here's what our specials of what we're serving. Now, was that an above and beyond experience? Yes, because what did it speak to? One, downtown Portland's disgusting right now. I wish it wasn't, and it's the same case, smaller population of downtown Anchorage. We've done a terrible job of exporting and shuffling around our homeless, our mentally ill, and our substance abusers, and we put them right into receiving cities, and we create a downtown economic problem. And it is terrible for people traveling, conducting business, or trying to have operations, or dare to live downtown in those locations. But it is what it is. And so when I had to go to this place for this convention, I knew that I was in a clean area. I was a clean environment. They took care of my accommodations. I decided to change things on them. They set the tone, right? They said, hey, we normally book out several months in advance, but for you, we're going to work on this. And they didn't give me an immediate answer. I didn't have to sit there and watch them try to shuffle rooms around. Instead, they said, could you give us a little bit of time? And what am I going to say? No, I need an answer right now. Absolutely not. I don't want to stand at the front desk checking in any more than they wanted me to do that and watch them do their job. So instead, they led me where I needed to be. And they also answered my very next question. When you check in and you get refreshed and you wind down, they say, hey, if you don't want to go out, which you don't normally on the day that you're traveling, here's what is going to be around you. Here's what to expect. And we're happy to arrange anything else that you need. So it was check marking all these different areas that I needed accomplished. All right, now let's compare that to a different industry. Let's compare it to any medical doctor's office anywhere. So you call a receptionist who seems very flustered, very busy, and they are busy because we talk about surge and we talk about seeing 7 to 9 clients a day. And most of these big doc boxes now, if they're not privately owned, they're supposed to see 40 patients a day, 40, actual number. I've looked at the books. I've gone through the average patient transaction. I've compared different models. They are supposed to see 40 patients a day. That is an insane amount of time. And these are people that are supposed to make you feel that they have accurately assessed all of your medical issues and whatever brought you into that place and make you feel heard and potentially talk you into a surgery where you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars and allow a complete stranger to cut into your person. All right. So this should have been a Ritz-Carlton experience in our medical industry, but we've just big pharmaed it. We made it into this mass money making industry that takes the patient out of being cared for the way that they should. All right. Then you go up, you check in, and the first thing they want is their ID and your insurance card. So you hand over both. And what do they give you? Yep, they give you an iPad or they give you a clipboard. And then you have to answer 10,000 of the same questions over and over. Name, date of birth, social security. If I have given you that information one time, that is enough. I've given it to you one time. If you've lost it, you've misplaced it, maybe you need to authenticate it, sure, I will give it to you a second time. But if I am filling out the same forms over and over again that you are sloppily reading, then I'm going to probably have a little fun with your forms. So I am most likely to put down random answers on your worksheets to see if you're actually looking at the documents that you're asking me for. This is so loathsome to me. This is such a horrendous experience that I have made sure at Shalansky & Associates, we do the exact opposite. And I make sure that my team knows that if we have asked a client for something and they have to sign new paperwork, we better go through the painstaking effort of writing everything down on that document before we give it over to the client to sign and authenticate. If we have that information on file, we are doing the dirty work. We're doing the methodical work. We are writing all that down for the benefit of the client. We do that on every occasion. Clients are not given blank forms as a routine practice. If it is blank, we're asking ourselves why, we're pausing, we're slowing down, we're accelerating that. All right, so then what else do we hate about going to the doctor's office? Once you check in on time for your appointment, right? Because if you're 10 or 15 minutes late, you're considered a no-show and they might give your slot away. Because remember, they've got to see 40 patients a day. So once you've sit down, I'm sure that promptly some type of CNA or nurse technician or somebody else comes out, medical assistant, and grabs you and you go back into the room since they have so many people to see and you are immediately seen. No, that never happens. Instead, what they've done is they hack the human experience, where we get annoyed if we have to stay in one location too often. So if we're able to move around, we feel progress is being made. So we will sit for a excruciating amount of time in the cheapest furniture possible. The cheapest furniture, no, I shouldn't even say that. This furniture is expensive. Midmark and Patterson, all those big companies, they're very expensive chairs that you are sitting in, but they're always dirty. They're always broken. They're always abused because they see 40 patients per provider a day. Of course, they're going to look like that. Imagine having that many people over for breakfast, lunch, or dinner every single day, right? That's an insane amount. So once you go back into that room, then somebody else comes in, they verify your data information, and their back is turned to you normally. They're looking at a computer. They're going through things really fast, making sure that the medical assistant has everything correctly, and then you wait even longer. All right, then you're waiting 10 or 15 minutes, small knock at the door, doctor comes in and really tries with great effort to make you feel like they're their only patient. I think that a lot of providers really do want to give patients that attention. And so they try painstakingly, even though they know that they've got 39 other people they got to see that day behind them, to give you some type of experience, to listen to your efforts. But if you take too long, what happens? Somebody comes knocking on that door to remind the doctor that they have other patients, because now you're going to backlog somebody else. Now we're going to back up somebody else. Now, places that have diagnostics in their own facility, wonderful, because now they can move you to go do something else and they can go see 2 or 3 other patients while you're going to get those diagnostics. Then you pay whatever your deductible is, or maybe some out-of-pocket expense, and you leave there feeling like, man, that was such a rich and rewarding experience. I would love to give them another $500. No, you do not. You don't feel that way. No matter how much, if you really liked your doctor, you're so dissatisfied with the entire industry and the entire experience that you do not walk away from that scenario thinking how pleasant it was, thinking that, my gosh, I got so much value out of that. I would love. And by the way, most doctors, they draw out pictures. They'll have models, they'll draw out pictures. They'll try to work with you and give you some type of example of what everything looks like. So it could be anywhere in the world, and they're going to work and they're going to collaborate with all the other specialists, and they're going to make sure that they are your main point of contact for any and all medical needs. And people pay this on a retainer basis. I got clients that pay, I think, $2,500 to $3,500 a year as a retainer for the opportunity to meet with a medical concierge, whether or not their medical deductible will be met that year. They just want it. They just want this people on demand. And these aren't hypochondriacs. These are people that are willing to exchange money for value. These are people that say, you know what? I don't want to go through that model. It's broken. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit my lifestyle. I don't like it. I don't leave the experience feeling good. And I'm willing to pay money to have a different experience. So isn't that a lot like financial planning? Isn't that a lot like financial planning? We have an area of specialty. We have something that we are able to help other people with, because remember, fitness, finance, faith, right? These people, they're supposed to help you in what I would call the fitness category. And that is not just, whether or not you look good, but it's whether or not you feel good and how you medically feel, checking in with your body And this is when I was in my 20s, a 40-year-old woman said to me one time, she said, she was early 40s. And she said, listen, hun, at your age, you're questioning everything about your body because up until now, everything about your body has constantly changed. You've never been able to depend on it. You don't know, etc. But when you turn 40, you know your body. You know your body better than anyone else. You've been living in it. You've been walking around in it. You know when something is not right. When something is not right, do not allow other people to tell you anything about your body. It's yours. You know. You decide, and then you go get help. And I thought that was a really great way of framing it because it is our experience. So when it comes to financial planning, people know their finances inside and out. They've been living and working and eating and breathing money since they started exchanging goods for services. That's literally the inauguration of our exchange with money. The second we start throwing up a lemonade stand, washing cars, babysitting, doing yard work, these are all exchanges of money for something else so that we can gain, we're offering a service to gain money so we can go buy other goods and services that we need. This is the exchange. This is how it happens. So when clients come in, it's not that they're ignorant. They know their finances. They know their financial health, but they don't know underneath all the technicalities and they don't want to do things wrong. They don't want to create a bigger problem for themselves ultimately. So when they come in, we have to give a rich and rewarding experiences because they are voting with their dollars. They are making a decision whether or not. And so oftentimes when we talk to financial advisors, we just hosted a giant Invictus training session. And one of the things that brings people to the table constantly to hear about how Matt and Micah run multi-million-dollar financial advisory firms is because they're worried about asking about fees. They're like, how do you justify charging this much? What do you do that we're not doing? And the difference is you might have all of the knowledge in the world to provide the same level of service. Hell, you might even be smarter than all three of us combined in the RIA space. But do you have the people, the policies, and the processes in place to make a rich and rewarding experience? So when you ask another person to cut a $10,000 check to have you on retainer, plus additional asset under management fees, that you are so confident that you are going to provide so much more value to that client than what you're charging them that you don't even blink an eye. And a lot of times, if you don't feel you are delivering value, if you don't feel you're providing an exceptional experience for a prospect, then you have a lot of head trash about charging for it. I have zero head trash when I'm talking to a business client about charging big fees for them because I know I'm going to give you so much knowledge. I'm going to take you so much further than you would have gotten on your own. Why? Because this is what I've been doing, studying, living, breathing, eating for the last few decades. And so now you get to tap into that knowledge and I get to give that knowledge to you for the pursuit of your goals to get to your endeavor. And do you think that if I start working with somebody right off the bat, that I can make a meaningful difference? Hell, do you think if you start working with somebody, that you can make a meaningful difference in their lives? It is a yes or no question. There's no maybe. Either you're going to make a meaningful difference or you're not going to make a meaningful difference. Those are the only two choices that you have. And if you're going to make a meaningful difference, then you have to deliver extraordinary value when you start off that process. So you've got to go back to your basics. How are people hearing about you? What does the top of your funnel look like? From the moment that they talk to one of your professionals, they talk to your relationship managers. We got asked this in a recent Invictus training that we had for people. They said, hey, does everyone already know that they're going to be charged a fee for your prospect appointment? Or do your relationship managers have to quote unquote sell it? And I would say it's a mixed bag. I would say that if you hit us up online, you're probably very familiar with fees. We have run a niche market, really, really streamlined. So you're probably familiar that other people also paid a fee. But sometimes it's a surprise to them. They didn't know because very few people in financial services industries charge for the hour-long consultation. Though I hope that changes. And the reason I hope it changes is because I don't think we provide enough value in the meeting, because we're only halfway in knowing what, because we're always wondering if they're going to hire us, if this is going to have worth our time. So instead, I need to back out of that and just charge right up front. So I go in that meeting knowing I got paid. I'm here. What do I got to do? Will you show me how I can provide value to you? How can I answer your questions? And let's have a rich and rewarding experience during this process, this hour that we get together. But I back into that. So my relationship managers, guess where the first training that I sent them to was? The Ritz-Carlton Service Excellence Program. Why? Because they've got a tried and true system. They've got great policies. They've got great procedures. If you've ever stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, you know that the bellman is super, super chatty with you and wants to get to what brought you into town, what are you interested in, etc. And by the time they leave, they go down to the concierge. They've given a full detail of everything that they talked about. Concierge calling up to your room and saying, Ms. Shalansky, I know that you would really hope to see Wicked tonight, but it's unfortunately the last show was last evening. However, Kevin Hart still has a couple of seats open. He's giving a show a few blocks away. Can I make a reservation for you? And so they're anticipating the unexpected need. You'd really wanted to see this. Unfortunately, there's bad news. It's closed. There's this other venue going to be performing. May I please give you this as a substitute? And let's work that out. These is the rich and rewarding experiences. So when they talk to that relationship manager and then they come to your office, and we have an office in downtown Anchorage, and you know what drives me nuts about being in downtown? Same thing that drives me nuts about being in Portland's downtown, though on a smaller scale, is we still have vagrants. We still have homeless. We still have mentally ill. We still have substance abusers. There's a bar across the street. So on Monday morning, guess what I got in my parking lot? Cigarette butts, vaping cartridges, and normally Red Bull and a couple of alcohol bottles. So what am I out there doing on Monday morning? First person in that office sure as hell had better pick everything up, because if I see it, I'm going to be super annoyed, because the second a prospect walks up to our building, we're setting the tone. Now, a few years ago, we sold the building. We don't own it. Should this be the landlord's responsibility? 100%. Does that always happen? Nope, sure doesn't. Here's a great example. A few weeks ago, we had somebody come by and do graffiti all over the wall. We were outside a search. It was summertime. And so we contacted the landlord. We said, hey, listen, the building got tagged. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, it was springtime, because they said it was too cold to paint. And I said, absolutely not. We live in Alaska. People have been solving this for a really long time. You throw up a heater, you throw up a tent. And they said, nope, we're going to wait until summer. Then we'll paint it when it's warmer so we don't have to pay the extra cost. Okay. So I got a prospect or a brand new client pulling up to my building. I got black graffiti everywhere, right? So instead, what do? I tasked the executive assistant. She was wonderful. She calls different painting companies. They said, oh yeah, we can be out tomorrow. We can get this done. $500. All right. So they get it done. Did I bill in the landlord? Yeah, I did. But, but we got it done. Why was it important to get done right away? Because a brand new client's going to walk up and the very first impression that they see is that we're in a shady area. They're going to see some type of derogatory, because graffiti is often derogatory, right? It doesn't matter how many freaking art exhibits we have where we have community paint days and they make beautiful displays. People are going to still tag stuff. People are going to still have graffiti. Graffiti is negative in our culture. Therefore, we need to get it gone. Okay, so we got it gone. Now we open up the door. Does the door creak? Is the door clean? Are there fingerprints all over the glass? What is the smell when you come into the office? I'm super particular about this, because when you're in a bad smell, you're uncomfortable and you want to wrap it up. You want to be done. You want everything to stop. But if you're around something and you're like, wow, this smells, and I want my office to smell almost like you're at a spa. So I want a very nice, nothing floral, but a lot of citrus, a lot of clean, maybe bamboo, very nice fragrant smells. If you don't have this, if you are thinking about it, Aroma 360 is a company. They give you this little distributor. You put the oil in. It's phenomenal. It's great. Everyone loves it, and they compliment it so much when they come into the office. I love coming in here. It always smells so clean and nice. Why? Because I want people to know that we're polished professionals. And then we go into that conference room. Do I have cups hanging out there from the previous meeting? Because if we're seeing 7 to 9 clients a day, then we're rotating that room pretty darn quickly. So is it dirty? Are there fingerprints? Is there open pens? Is the trash overflowing? Are they seeing other people's discarded waste? These are questions that I ask. What is that full-blown experience? Do I have to ask a client to transfer multiple millions of dollars from their 401k or to an IRA and reach for a pen that doesn't work and is out of ink? I mean, literally, we put our pens upside down so the pens are always flowing towards the end cap. We make sure that they write before we go into surge. We make sure the drawer's open. We make sure the Kleenex is refilled. We make sure particularly in Micah's office, he makes a lot of people cry. So we have all of these things figured out ahead of time because the smallest details matter. They are significant. They have impact. And we want people, when they come into our office, to have an experience and feel something. My mom brought back, they went to a furniture restaurant back in the 1990s, and this furniture restaurant wanted you to take as much time as you wanted sitting on their couch because it's, very expensive sofa furniture. So when you sat down to try out a couch and the salesperson knew that you liked that particular couch, they brought out on a plate 3 Otis Spunkmeyer cookies and some beverages on a tray. And they said, take as much time as you like, make sure this is the right decision for you, and we want you to feel like you're at home. So sit back and enjoy these. And then the sales associate left. So now what did you have in that experience? Now you started to feel like, oh, this is what it would be like at home. And you had the taste of a hot chocolate chip cookie. And they brought that idea back, and we immediately implemented it because there are good ideas in spades. There's abundance of good ideas out there. We just do not take time to be deliberate about implementing them. So we started doing that in our office. And guess what? Today, whenever clients come downtown, they will pull over and come in our office and say, do you have any cookies today? Can I just get a little nibble? And we want that. We want them coming in. We want them to feel at home. There's a reason that our front conference area, our lobby, looks like a couch and sofas, and you have refreshments and you have cookies, because we want people to feel like they're coming in for a visit. We call that, hey, it's time to schedule your visit. It's time to schedule your visit. Now, do they know that it's a meeting? Yes, they know it's a meeting, but we call it a visit because we want to come in and we want to have a conversation. And we're very deliberate about the way that we say that. When clients are asking us to do work, meetings are about giving them recaps. It's about setting goals, hearing priorities, making changes in the financial plan. Meetings are not where work, quote unquote, is done. So we'll be deliberate with our hands gestures, and we'll say, you know what? We'll take care of this in the back, and I'll maybe make a joke. That's what you pay us for. We'll get this knocked out. And they know that things aren't going to happen right in that meeting, but they will happen. There's a bigger system in place. There's a bigger team in place. And it's important to me for all of our clients that they know that it doesn't just revolve around me. It's not just me. It's not just Floyd. It's not just Micah. And we've got an entire team and an organization that's going to make sure that you're taken care of no matter what stage of life that you're at. And that collaboration is missing in so many financial advisory offices that we stay so cloistered, and we want to make sure this is my client, my book of business, this is my business here. And instead of saying, you know what, I don't have the answer in that, but I've got a team member that really specializes in Medicare. Could I collaborate with them and get back? I want to ping a few ideas and questions. Now, I won't tell the client what the ideas and questions are, but I'll just say, hey, I'd love to chat with them about these ideas and questions. Can I get back to you? And do you know what they're going to say? They're going to say yes. They're not going to look at me and say, Jamie, I cannot believe you do not have all the answers. You talk so much, you think you'd have more to say. No, they're going to say, wonderful. I knew you'd have the right resources. Thank you for getting back to me. Just let me know what they decide after you guys kind of hash through things. That is the normal, typical response. Now, if you have clients that do something other than that, that's a different conversation. Maybe they don't hit your 3 Ps and you're just trying to force them into being clients. If you have clients that are super demanding like that and they only want to talk to you and they won't allow for collaboration and they are disrespectful to your team, that is not a good client. You just don't want to give up the revenue. Be honest with yourself. Don't take someone that isn't personable, profitable, productive. And if they're not productive for you, it doesn't matter how profitable they are. They will always be the person you dread. They will always be the first email you read. They will always be the first call you make. And now you are beholden to somebody you don't even like. You don't even like them. So why are you doing that to yourself? So when it comes to setting up the experience for the prospect and onboarding new clients, what you do in the beginning lasts until the end. So if you've implemented Surge, then you can't make a prospect feel you're available tomorrow or next week. They've got to know that you schedule out several weeks or several months in advance. Nobody calls a neurosurgeon and says, hey, do you have availability tomorrow? And they say, yeah, we've got a wide open schedule. And they go, wow, I feel real confident with my decision. Great, sign me up, cut into my brain. No, and you're treating it the same way. You've got to see yourself as an industry professional, because what you start in the beginning, if you've given them a cell phone, if you've given them immediate availability, if you answer their questions when they come in via email within 30 seconds, guess what you set the precedence for? Now you are beholden to do that for the rest of your relationship. Because if you don't, what you're going to hear is, well, it wasn't like this when we first started working together. This wasn't the experience when we first met. Things have changed. And now you're diluting the way that you add value instead of adding more value. What you start in the beginning lasts until the end. I've said it over and over again, because we need to believe it. We need to experience it. We need to embrace it as a financial advisory community. It is that important. So everything we do here at The Perfect RA is 100% about giving you actionable advice you can take right now, today, and change the way that you're doing things. There are ideas in bucket loads out there. Everyone's got a great idea. But the difference between people that have great ideas and people that are great, that achieve greatness, is they stop and they implement what they know they should have implemented. As I talk through this experience with you today, you guys have said to yourself over and over again, several times, I know it through this podcast, there's been something I've said where you said, oh yeah, we need to do that. Oh, yep, we stopped doing that because it was working, so we need to go back to that. Whatever that comment is where you were like, darn it, we swung and we missed there, or I am not picking up the trash, or my office does smell a little weird, or I'm not giving a client a reason to stop by my office to not have a meeting. Whatever that is, you need to pause, take time, take a strategy session, take a work session, and implement it immediately with your team. So action items you can take right now. Write down on a sheet of paper, what is your prospect process? What is your new client onboarding experience like? What are you doing that makes you one of a kind and not one of many? What makes you give a rich and rewarding experience to that new client so they feel elated to tell everyone that they spent tens of thousands of dollars hiring you to be their financial advisor? And if that process doesn't exist on paper, if it's not documented, if your entire team cannot point to that process and know every step of it, you don't have a process. You have an idea. And it's a half-baked idea because half of what you're saying probably doesn't even exist. You're just hoping it does. So write down those policies, write down those processes, define those experiences, go back to the beginning and set the stage for exactly what you want your clients to feel, think, and say when they leave your office. TPR Nation, this has been an episode of Worlds to Conquer. I am Jamie Shalansky. Go find people who share your values and change the world.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the perfect